Welcome to the Widescreen Week in Review for the 4th week of May 2016. This week's Widescreen Week in Review is sponsored by our very own WSGF Ultimate Monitor Stand. It's the only monitor stand on the market designed to grow with you in your gaming rig. It supports 3x1 landscape, 1+3 landscape with up to 27-inch panels, and it also supports 5x1 portrait with up to 25-inch panels. For more information, visit wsgf.org/stands. First up, we have The Adventures of Pip. Gets a gold for widescreen, limited support for ultra-wide, Multi-mon is unsupported. The game is natively horizontal plus and widescreen, but it needs a hex edit otherwise. Note that the game has some interesting behavior that we haven't seen before for ultra-wide and multi-monitor. Levels that have a horizontal gameplay, so you're playing left to right, are horizontal plus, while levels with a vertical gameplay, where you're climbing up primarily, are vert minus. So the game is still playable in 21.9 with the vertical levels, but the game is unplayable in Multi-mon. It's available on Steam for $15. Single-screen gamers should consider supporting this indie developer, but Multi-mon gamers would want to avoid. Next up, we have Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. Gets gold support for widescreen, silver for ultra-wide, and Multi-mon has limited support. The game is natively horizontal plus across all configurations. Full motion video sequences in ultra-wide and Multi-mon only produce black screen with audio. Menus are zoomed in on these configurations as well. They're still usable in ultra-wide but become unusable in Multi-mon. The game retails for $20 on Steam but only has mixed reviews. I played the first title in this series and it was some pretty cool mindless fun, throwing around force powers. I wouldn't recommend picking it up by itself at full price, but if you can catch it on sale, it would be pretty good. It's also available as part of a larger $100 bundle of Star Wars games that has more than a dozen games total, so look for it there or in that bundle during a holiday sale. Next up, we have Soldier of Fortune 2 Double Helix. It has limited support for widescreen, ultra-wide, and Multi-mon. The game only has native support for 4x3 resolutions. It requires an INI edit and a hex edit to get horizontal plus support. You'll also need a HUD fix, though it's still stretched in ultra-wide and Multi-mon. Full motion scenes in the game are black screen with audio only. All in all, it's still pretty good support for a game that's almost 15 years old. The game is unavailable on Steam or GOG, but Metacritic shows it as being well received when it was released. You find it for a few dollars somewhere, just realize its limitations and the work that you'll need to get it to run on modern hardware. Here we have Magicka 2. It gets gold support for widescreen with ultra-wide and Multi-mon being unsupported. It's horizontal plus and widescreen, but ultra-wide and Multi-mon are fixed to 16:9 and thus are pillar boxed. It has mostly positive reviews with a $15 price tag, plus a growing list of DLC just like the original title. If you're a fan of the first game, chances are you've probably picked this one up. If you're new to this series, I'd recommend getting the original. It has much better reviews, is cheaper, and has much better support for ultra-wide and multi-monitor. For this week in updated DRs, we're going to start with Star Wars Republic Commando. It has limited support for widescreen, ultra-wide, multi-monitor, and 4K. It's updated with a new fix available in the form of a downloadable patch. This replaces a much more complicated manual fix that required both an INI and a hex edit. The HUD is stretched in ultra-wide and multi-monitor. It's available on Steam for $10 and has very positive ratings. Given that the title is a decade old, many of you may have missed it, and it's a great value at $10. It's also part of that $100 pack I mentioned earlier that includes the Force Unleashed titles. Here we have Mini Ninjas. There's a new fix available for ultra-wide, as the flawless widescreen app doesn't work for 21:9 like it does for multi-monitor. The game gets a gold for widescreen, with ultra-wide and Multi-mon both having limited support. Multi-mon uses flawless widescreen, but ultra-wide requires a lengthy fix which is detailed on the WSGF. It's $10 on Steam with overall very positive ratings, though recent ratings are just mostly positive. This change in ratings shows that the game may not have aged well in the last 6.5 years, but it's still probably worth a look. Next up, we are going to start a trio of classic first-person shooters. First up, we have Quake II. This entry is updated with new screenshots and new fixes. Widescreen, ultra-wide, and Multi-mon all have limited support as they require a custom fix. We have a download link on the WSGF for all of these fixes. Quake II is available on Steam for $10 or as part of a $30 Quake pack, which includes everything related to Quake 1, 2, and 3. It's a great value either way you go, and it's amazing that a title almost 20 years old is still playable on the most modern of configurations. Next up, we have Hexen II. It gets updated with new screenshots and a new fix for widescreen, ultra-wide, and Multi-mon. The game has limited support for all configurations, just like Quake II, as custom fixes are needed for higher resolutions and aspect ratios. The game is available on Steam for $5 or as part of a Hexen plus Heretic collection for $10. And finally, we have Return to Castle Wolfenstein. Like Quake II and Hexen II, it gets limited support for all configurations because it needs a custom fix for higher resolutions and aspect ratios. And just like the last two, it's another classic PC FPS title that can be modded to run on your modern hardware. Runs $10 on Steam and has very positive reviews. You can also pick it up along with Wolfenstein 3D and Spear of Destiny, all for just $15.